Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
Jeremy, yeah, let's start with PFL, Bellator. You were signed by PFL. You have a history with PFL. Go through all of that. Fight for Bellator, and now Bellator is under the PFL banner.
Yeah, I was excited because I fought for both, so I knew both really good organizations. I know like the background, the behind the scenes people, for both organizations that not a lot of people know, and so I knew I was going to be right at home however this whole thing went, whether it be in the tournament or PFL in general. If they closed Bellator, like nobody really knew what was going on, but I felt like I was in a pretty good spot regardless, just where I was at with Bellator and my relationship with PFL prior. So, I'm happy with it now that it's all said and done, and everything's moving in the right direction. I think it's a better opportunity for more fighters and more money and more. Yeah, everyone under one umbrella just makes it that much bigger.
Yeah, you're right about the benefits for the fighters, right? Especially
Yeah,
on both sides, right? Because the PFL fighters can go over to Bellator and fight on those events, and we're already seeing some crossover happening, right?
yeah, and I think you're going to see nothing but more. Like I have a feeling the tournament's going to be filled with half Bellator guys, and then they're probably going to have them fight like little mini Bellator versus PFL. The whole first round probably is. So it's just going to be kind of cool, and you get matchups that you never thought you would get to see.
Yo, it's going to be the hardest season.
Like I've heard there was a lot of Alecos, like the lower down guys, like the guys that Bellator was build up. Probably got to find somewhere else to get built up. But PFL has another agenda, man. They got a lot of contracts to sort out and deal with, and a lot of people to keep happy. So, I'm just happy in the position I was in, and a lot of my training partners and everyone I work with and deal with. So I'm just happy with that.
Definitely, this season is going to be the most interesting season because of the Bellator fighters coming in, and I've heard things. I can't say anything, and I'm pretty sure you heard things too. But there's going to be some rough matchups for a lot of these guys.
Definitely, bro. And then it's gonna get nothing but harder. Like it's definitely gonna be the hardest season. Now you got the whole. I'm just surprised of how many people I've heard of from Bellator going over into the tournament. And it's just like now these guys are fighting in the tournament. Like that's gonna be crazy. So it's gonna be good.
I love it, man. Let's turn our focus to you. Bellator 302 Belfast, back-to-back fights in on that island over there.
Yeah.
Are you secretly Irish or something? Like what's going on with
it must
everything?
just be with the last name. I don't know what it is, man. It's just timing. Timing just seems to be crazy. Like I could not expect at the end of my last fight last year that I would be waiting a full year till Bellator returns back to Ireland, has been sold to PFL, like 13 months. It's been crazy, bro. But it worked out. I've got exactly what I waited for this whole time. And it's paying off now. Now I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Finding out that you're not fighting James Gallagher
Yep.
for the title shot and getting a title shot, the switch. How did you get the news? How did you feel when you heard the news? Did you believe it?
Oh, bro. I was like, well, at first, I'm laser focused in on Gallagher. That's my fight. That's my title shot. I get through him. And Pitbull had the whole thing going on in Saudi Arabia, so I was kind of paying attention to that because, I always planned and expect to win. So I expected to be fighting Pitbull later on in the year. So I wanted to see how he did with, Pinedo, and then it got switched up to Braga. So I was following along that whole thing. And I think it was a Thursday night out here and would have been the Friday morning over there, like their weigh-ins. And my manager Ali called me, and he had it was like super late at night. It was like midnight, and typically I'm sleeping, right? Like I don't even answer. And I was like, he's FaceTiming me. Like there's got to be something. So I answered it, and then he's like, hey, bro, like, what do you think? Will you be ready for 5 rounds? And I was like, what do you mean? Like when? And he's like, oh, your fight. Like, would you be ready to go for 5 rounds? And I was like, yeah, of course. And he's like, okay, that's all I needed to hear. He hangs up, and I was like, what was that about, right? So I message him back, and then he's like, hey, I'm working on switching and get it, and I guess their plan was, I don't even know whose plan was. It was like, I think Pitbull had a big part of it because Higo is the one fighting Gallagher now, and that's his teammate. So I'm sure they set something up. I don't know what happened. I went to bed, And I woke up the next day, and Ali's like, bro, it's a done deal. You're fighting Pitbull. You got the title shot. And I was like, when? And he's like, the same card, Ireland. I was like, oh, fuck. So it worked out good, man. I couldn't get a smile off my face the whole day. I was like, woke up my wife, called my parents. I was like, called everyone. I was like, because they're all coming out to Belfast. I was like, well, we got a different fight. We got a bigger fight. And this is everyone in my circle has known how much this Pitbull fight means to me. It's been what I've been waiting for all year, So for me to actually get when they found out I was fighting and it was Gallagher, they were excited that I was fighting again, right? Bummed that it wasn't the fight I've been waiting for, but Gallagher's a good name, big name, good opponent, tough guy. So I was happy with it. But then to have the switch up and get the fight that I originally wanted, bro, I was like, I'm still, still on cloud nine. And it just made the training that much easier. When you're training for a 5-round fight, it like all your workload doubles. But when you know it's for a title and you got that shiny belt in my mind, and I got Pitbull and everything that comes with it, I've just been grinding since. And so I've had about month notice of the change, and that's all I need, man. I was ready to go for 5 rounds anyways. So the switch up is just a matter of opponents and opportunity.
The title shot is long overdue. You just mentioned the whole year, passing by, waiting for your next fight. What did you learn from this whole process of, deserving the title shot, but kind of having it delayed for a while?
I mean, it's hard because, like, for me, I trust everything my manager says. He tells me jump, I say how high kind of thing, and he told me from the beginning, like right after my fight in last year against Pedro, like, hey, you got the title shot. This is all the higher ups, the Bellator. This is the plan. Like, you've earned your title shot. And then as the months go by, I'm antsy, bro. I was trying to fight on 300, 301 in November. I was trying to fight in Japan in July. Like, I was just like, bro, get me a fight. This isn't happening, because Pitbull was doing whatever. Like, he went down to 35, so I had to wait. And then he took the short notice fight in Japan. And then he was getting surgery. So, I had no idea what was going on. And I was like, I don't care. Just let me fight anybody. And he just kept saying, bro, like, you have a title fight. You don't give that up. You stick this through, and it's going to be worth it, blah, blah, blah. And it's just crazy that it all ended up happening and working out, because, and then when it was going to be January or February or whatever, once the bye went through, I figured it was going to be Pitbull still. And same with everybody was telling me that. And then they come out with the champ versus champ. So then I was like, bro, okay, I can't get passed up again. I've got to fight. It's been a year. And he agreed with me, and Bellator agreed. That's why they put that number 1 contender fight together. Just I needed a fight, right? Like the title shot wasn't there anymore. So I had to earn it again. And I was okay with that. But, it all came full circle, man. I waited my time. I paid my dues, and I got it.
You did, man. And Pitbull, man, he's a legend. He's probably pound for pound the best fighter we've ever seen in that Bellator cage. Could you agree or disagree on that?
Oh, yeah, man. And he's got all the records. I don't think you could help me with that. I don't think they've had another featherweight champion in Bellator, or have they? As long as I can remember, it's been Pitbull for his, so I don't even know if they've had another 45 champ. And so I was like, man, this is going to be really cool to knock off like the GOAT featherweight of Bellator, He's like the face of that the whole organization. So,
yeah, he doesn't get enough credit, man. I feel like a lot of people overlook him, you know what I mean? And
for how long he's been on top, it's insane, bro. Yeah. And then you got the jump up to 55, knocking out Chandler, and like, he's had a long storied career, but unfortunately, it's just got to come to an end to the Canadians. So,
the nicest people on earth have to be the spoiler of the party.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, when you look at Pitbull, for sure. And no, go ahead. Pitbull, he's on a 2-fight losing streak, right? The first fight he cut down to bantamweight, then he fought at 155, like maybe a month after that, and then he went to Saudi Arabia. It was crazy. And then he went to Saudi Arabia and went through a whole training camp and never fought. What kind of toll do you think that takes on a body, man?
I honestly, I think more so the cut down to 35 is what's hurt him. I don't think he's ever really put that weight back on. That's why I think that the weight cut's not a big deal for him. personally, this is just me speculation. I haven't even seen him in person, but when I saw him way back, I think it was Long Beach. We were both on the same card. I remember seeing him and I was thinking like, man, this dude is small. And then he came out that he wanted to make 35 and I was, that's believable. Like I know you could do it. And when he made weight, he looked at 35, he looked like a natural 35er, like him and Sergio, that they looked like, it didn't look like he was sucked out or drained or anything. Like that looked natural weight class. And that just speaks on his frame. So I know when he tried to put the weight back on, and Japan obviously went the way it went, probably because he was still probably 155 pounds walking into the cage, and the fight was at 55. So I don't think he cut much weight. And this one, again, he seemed pretty fresh on this. He had to make weight and he looked pretty fresh on the scale. And like I said, I just don't think, and that's probably why his career has had such longevity, is his size is just, I've always thought he was a little bit small for a 45er, but it's amazing how much success he's had, and so now with me, I think size is going to be a big part of this, because I'm not a small featherweight. It takes me everything to make sure I can't have any mistakes. I dialed in. It's a science to make the weight, and I plan to really make him feel that weight. And I think that's just it. I think he's still the same Pitbull, just unlucky. He went down. He wasn't the faster fighter anymore against Sergio. And then that short notice one in Japan, I mean, that I don't even know why he did that. That was just kind of silly to begin with. Fighting a dude you've never heard of and a weight class up on 3 days notice. I don't know how you expect it to go any different, so getting knocked out is not ideal, but I mean, I don't hold that against his skill set at all. And then the whole thing with PFL, that just happens. He made weight, but I don't think that necessarily drained him.
You mentioned the size advantage and also the style that you have with
Yeah.
the style, with the size advantage and that bullying style that you have, right? It doesn't look good for him, especially with him being an older guy. I mean, he's 36 years old. Do you believe in that 35-year-old curse thing that they have?
It's funny, it all
around?
just started coming out, like
Yeah.
it really emphasized around Volk's fight. And then I thought about it. I was like, I should go back and look at how old Pitbull was when he fought. I think when was his last win was Kleber in Ryzen, right? I think he must have been
that's right.
5 then. That wasn't that long ago. But I wonder, it'd be pretty funny if his 2 losses came after he turned 35.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. It just seems like these lighter weight classes, youth is super important. And I also plan on implementing that. This is a 5-round fight. And like you said, my style, I'm in your face, and it takes a lot to keep me off of you. And I'm the young, hungry guy, and I don't see what he's going to do. And I haven't seen much from him in the sense of facing people like me, wrestlers, guys who are going to try to take him down, push the pace, get in his face. He's just fought mostly strikers or jiu-jitsu guys, and guys that he can dictate and control the range and pace of the fight. And he likes a nice, like, labored, slow fight. And that's not what I plan on bringing on him. And even with a good gas tank at 36, 37, whatever he is, I put my gas tank over his at any day. Like I'll put that to test, and I'm going to.
And yeah, man, it's very interesting.
Sorry.
Have you seen the odds for the fight?
No, I haven't seen him yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen him either, but I don't know, man. I love Pitbull, but I think like you probably the favorite heading into this fight. Just looking at stylistic, age, losing streak, winning streak, all of that stuff, everything put together.
I mean, it's going to be interesting in the sense of when those odds come out, just because he is the legend, and I've been an underdog my whole Bellator career. I've got pretty much indented in blue gloves. I'm always blue corner. I'm always fighting the higher ranked guy from Borex, Pico, Sanchez, Pedro. They were all ranked higher than me. I was always the underdog on all the bookies, and I don't really pay too much attention to that. I just think it's funny, and I think it's a good opportunity for my friends to make some money. So We'll see what they come up with this time.
Yeah, I was looking at this picture of you. Well, it's this training camp. It's you, Usman, Patchy Mix, Mads Burnell, Aljamain Sterling. I was like, yo, like, who else can you get to train with? You know what I mean?
Bro, that's Vegas for you though, man. It's a hotbed. It's got everybody here. I got my team at Extreme, and then Ali, my manager, he runs his thing at the PI here, and it's always dominance fighters. And whenever people are in town and Usman was here for Umar's fight, this weekend. So it's always rotating bodies and good guys and guys my size, world class guys. So it's like every single day I'm getting different looks from different gyms, and I do a lot of cross training and training all around the city, and it's just definitely the best place to be for me right now. That and Phuket, of course.
Yeah.
I was supposed to actually be in Phuket, but when Gallagher, I got Gallagher as an opponent, I had to switch everything up and change. I was actually going to be there all of February, but can't do that when you're fighting a guy who's training out there currently. So
Exactly. How does the featherweight Aljamain Sterling look?
Bro, he's good. We were talking yesterday, and he's actually like one of the guys where usually when guys move up, it's just because they're tired of cutting weight and things aren't going well or whatever, and they're just trying something new. Where Aljo, I think his actual weight class and natural size is for a featherweight. Like he walks around, even when he was at bantamweight, he was always walking around the same weight as me out of camp. And so I was like, crazy that this dude's cutting an extra 10 pounds and then competing, And so I expect to see like just a good, more healthier, fresher Aljo, and he doesn't give up any size coming up. And he's strong and he's got a good frame. He's got long reach still, so he'll be fine with the other 45ers. And I'm excited for that fight. That's going to be a good one. It's not an easy fight to come up to. It's obviously he was the former champion, so he's coming up and he's fighting, a top-ranked guy. And he's dumping right into the deep end. But it's going to be good. A win over Cater puts him right in especially the landscape right now with Ilya just winning. It's wide open. Ortega beating Yair. Like there's openings, so I'm excited for him.
For sure. And how do you see your fight playing out against Pitbull, man? 5 rounds, the titles. This is your moment, right? This is what you've been working for the past, I don't even know how many years we've been talking.
Yeah.
And this is coming now in Ireland.
It's here now. Yeah, bro. I don't know. Like I've never had like a prediction, like I can see a lot of different things, but I definitely think I'm going to stop him. I don't think it's going 5 rounds. That's it. Like, I don't know if it's feet, the floor, TKO, submission, but I'm going to overwhelm him. I'm going to drown him. And I don't think we're seeing a 5th round. If we do shoot, I don't care. I'll go 50-45 this dude and walk home with my belt. I don't care, but I don't think it's going to go a full 5.
Gallagher, Higo, who wins that one?
Honestly, couldn't tell you a lot about Higo. I think I watched his fight with Caldwell. It wasn't very exciting, and that's all I've ever seen of him. I'll go with Gallagher, fellow Bang Tao guy, and was a former opponent. He seems like a nice dude, good dude. So I'm gonna go with Gallagher on that one.
And I've been hearing that Aaron Pico could possibly be the next in line after your fight against Pitbull. Do you see him as a deserving title contender?
I do. Like, he's been on that radar with me, bouncing around. His name's been floating around the whole time, so he's never really off the table. It seems like he would be what makes the most sense. It's a little frustrating just with quality of opponents, or even not even quality, but like quality of training camps his opponents had and everything. So that's not his fault. Like, you can't really blame a dude for other guys, him getting short notice replacements. It's not like they're putting these fights together at the last minute. His opponents are just switching up on him, and so it's just really hard to hold some weight on his wins. Outside of Pedro, that was amazing, but this last one, Corrales, was that's a 3-day notice. Corrales off the couch, flying out to Saudi Arabia, but he's doing amazing things, and he's probably arguably got to be the next guy in line. And I expect there's still that unfinished business with us. So I get through Pitbull. I expect they're going to be counting me with Pico, unless you don't really know what the landscape is. Like, I know PFL's trying to put on these pay-per-view cards throughout the year. I don't know if having Pico over on that Saudi card, is that them transitioning him into a PFL guy? Is he still coming back to Bellator? I don't even know what the Bellator division looks like once they announced this tournament. I'd imagine a few guys went over there. So you can see that's going to shake up the rankings. If Borix is still around, there's that rematch that can always be ran back. But if he's in the tournament, who knows? There's lots of things can change, but definitely Pico's got to be one of the higher on the list of guys that I could see next for sure. Again, if Gallagher wins, they gave him the number 1 contender fight. If he beats Higo, what's not putting him right back into that position again? So they're all on the table right now, but definitely I think Pico's the most deserving, and that's one I would want to put a stamp on, put an end to that chapter. So we'll see.
There
5
you go,
rounds,
man.
first
There you
defense.
go.
Sounds pretty good.
It does. It does. March 22nd, Bellator 302, Belfast, Northern Ireland. Jeremy, you get your
My man.
opportunity, man. I'm happy for you, man.
Thank you
It's
very
all
much.
good.
Appreciate
All
it.
love, man. Thank you so
My
much.
man. Thank you. I'll see you soon.